Hello, hello, hello. This is Tamika Peters, President and CEO of Grow Your Nonprofit, where we help startups, small and stagnant nonprofits grow through fundraising strategies, strategic planning, and so much more. Guys, today you're in for a treat. I have my special guest here, Dr. Pat Montana. We would be talking about managing for results and his special books here, Managing for Results and Life. You can pick this up on Amazon. Check it out. We'll put a link in our bio after the podcast. But before we get started, I'd like to thank the sponsors of my podcast. Vaxtruth. They just received a grant from the CDC to raise awareness of COVID-19 and vaccine resources in the Black and Brown communities. AVID. That stands for the Associations of Haitians Living Abroad. They just opened an amazing support center right here in the beautiful Fort Myers, where they will help you with immigration support, utility billing, and English as a second language. Last but not least, Trinity Life Foundation Naples, helping at-risk youth through their enrichment programs. So, guys, like I said, my special guest here, Dr. Pat Montana. How are you doing, Dr. Montana?
Fine, thanks for having me, Tanika.
It is so great for you to be here. We recently reconnected after about, 2 years maybe?
Just about.
Yeah, we met 2 years ago through a really good friend of ours, Craig Handel.
Yes.
We actually had lunch at was it a Vietnamese restaurant?
Viet Village.
Yeah. So Craig and I were working on my book, and I'm finally finishing up. So I'm really guilty about having it just sit. You know how sometimes you get writer's block and then you just get frustrated?
Do I?
So it's been sitting for quite some time, but I'm proud to report that I finalized it and the publisher is looking at it and laying it out, so we're good to go. So I recently wrote an article, To Be or Not to Be, in the Southwest Florida Business Today newspaper, and Pat happened to pick it up and see my guest editorial and reached out to me, and we actually, that was just Monday, right? That was just a couple of days ago.
Yeah, the last issue.
Yeah, what was Monday, Pat reached out to me, and he said he wanted to get involved and get something to do, and I say, hey, I have something for you. I have a podcast now, and it's a program that I want to build out that we'll talk about a little bit later. So here he is, Wednesday. So I told him, are you sure you want to go down this journey? He said, absolutely. So he's here. So thank you so much, Pat.
Thank you.
Would you please start by sharing with our audience a little bit about your background and experience, and then we'll get into managing for results.
Okay. Well, I've got experience in all sectors, in the public sector, the private sector, and the nonprofit sector as an executive in every one of them. Doing strategic planning and managing the Professional Institute of the American Management Associations, which was devoted to management training and development for the public and nonprofit sector organizations. And we did programs around the country, particularly for nonprofits. I also worked in private industry for the Sperry and Hutchinson Company. Doesn't exist anymore. It used to be called the green stamps. The more you licked them, the more you liked them. That was my motto. But I was their strategic planner and put them into other businesses. And then I set up this National Center for Career Life Planning with the American Management Associations, trying to help people in mid and late career overcome their crises and so forth. And the rest of the career was spent as a professor of management at Hofstra University and Fordham University in New York, where I retired in 2015. So that's about it in a nutshell, Tamika.
Yeah, well, not only that, he failed to tell you that he's author over 20 books, right?
30.
30 books. Oh, wow. Yeah, the last book that I was reading through said 20. So you've written 10 more since.
I don't know, maybe.
Wow. So managing for results in your business and personal life, what does that mean anyway, Pat?
Yeah, the way I see it from my experience in implementing programs in management is most managers and whatever sector of society don't really understand management and how to implement a system of getting results. I base it basically on really 5 questions, but the first 3 are critical. For example, what is management and the management process is my first question that I would put to a group or to managers.
Okay.
Second would be, how does a results system fit into this process? Mm-hmm. And the third is, why bother?
Yeah, why bother?
Why bother?
Because you need results.
Exactly, but there has to be a way to get at the results for any organization, whatever sector. Particularly nonprofits would benefit by this kind of approach, which I describe in very simple form in my book, using a lot of examples from nonprofits. But, for example, what is management and the management process?
Okay.
Right. The way I define management is working with and through other people in order to accomplish the goals and objectives of your organization and its members.
Okay.
Management is a two-way street.
Right.
The executive and the people who work for the executive.
Right.
It's a two-way street. Let's keep that in mind. It's also a process. And what does the process mean? It's very simple. Visualize it as a circle. Starts with planning, it goes to controlling, and then it goes to evaluation and feedback. Starts with planning. What kind of planning? Strategic planning. Why? Because you want to set the goals for the organization. And then it goes into operational planning, which is for the different operations of the business, setting objectives to accomplish eventually those goals. So planning is the first critical step in the management process. What happens next? You have to have some way of controlling the plan, not the people. Some way of controlling the plan. And that's critical, which managers do not seem to understand. And how you get at it. Controlling you get at through developing standards of performance. Now, what do I mean by a standard of performance? For example, we all know, for example, in golf, a standard of performance is par. You know how well you did when you play a round of golf, whether you're below or above par.
Right.
Having been a golf instructor also for a good part
Wow.
of my life, I understand how you work that pretty well. So, the standards of performance become the controls, okay? That's why you have to bother, which is the third question I have. Before you get to that, I'll explain. Let me go back to the second question. What are the critical links that hold the whole management process together for the manager of an organization? Okay? Well, the first one is defining objectives. What's an objective? Objective is specific results you want to achieve at the end of a budget cycle for your organization. Okay? All right. Once the objectives are established, and really they should be established mutually between you and the subordinates who work for you to accomplish it for their divisions or pieces of their operation. But once you have those, what do? You as the manager or the boss, you start to begin the process of delegation. How do you do that? By assigning responsibilities. People have to have a job description, hopefully. That's where the responsibilities exist. So you take each responsibility and basically you have to say, what are the conditions that should exist when you carry out that responsibility well? You're speaking now to your subordinates one-on-one. In other words, you're engineering a process of agreement between you and the subordinates on the responsibilities that they have to achieve at the end of a budget cycle. And then the way I do it is we negotiate the standards. They're not my standards as the boss, but they're our standards. In other words, you buy them into the system. So it makes accomplishing a lot easier. They know what's expected.
Right.
That's the third question. That's why you bother. You bother to get at that particular, what I call performance contract or expectations contract. The subordinates at the end of a budget cycle, if you go through this process, understand what's expected. So you could be away from the office. Remotely, they could be working. But both of you know what's expected on the job for each of the people who work for you or on your team. Now, the good part of that, at the end of the budget cycle, you can come to the controlling. That part of the planning and the process of delegation, assigning those responsibilities and developing the standards. Now, the standards of performance become really the controls, okay? So at the end of the budget cycle, you move to the third critical link in the management process, which is appraising performance. And what are you appraising performance against? The mutually agreed upon standards.
That's within the strategic plan.
Well, it's coming from the strategic. The strategic planning comes first because you're setting the goals.
Right.
And then you're breaking it down into the operational planning, which is the second aspect of planning. Planning has two aspects, strategic and operational. So it's breaking down. I explained it all in the book, very, very simply on how to do it and even how to, appraise performance at the end of the contract. And life becomes a lot easier for subordinate and manager. Of course, during the cycle, your subordinates may need some counseling. People have problems. You as a manager, you're expected to do that kind of a thing. And you should be aware of those things happening. I'm just trying to give you the breakdown in simple form of how the management process works. The critical questions: what is management? Understanding what it is, right? Working with and through other people in order to accomplish the goals and objectives of the organization and its members. Secondly, how does a results system fit into the process? And that's the breakdown, right? Beginning with defining objectives, assigning responsibilities, developing standards of performance, and appraising performance at the end of the cycle. And then you begin the process all over again, from year to year or cycle to cycle, whatever your planning cycle is. And I don't know, it's made my life a lot easier in managing different organizations in the public, private, and nonprofit sectors. And it might be helpful to you. Again, it's easy to talk about it, but seeing it is another thing, and doing it is another thing. But with practice, it becomes a lot easier.
Yeah. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was thinking the same thing. You have the process, right? You have your strategic plan. You've adopted it. You got buy-in by your subordinates. But how does the manager stay on track and on point with managing for results when they have so many other things that are being thrown at them on a daily basis? How do they come back staying focused and keeping their eye on the prize?
That's the second part of the book. The book goes into three things. The first part is career life planning, developing your career life plan, which involves not only your job, career, also what you want to do in your life, with family, leisure time, and so forth, and also planning for long-term retirement. The first part helps you to do the career life plan. Second part is how you manage your time. And that's critical.
Very critical.
See? So I give a step-by-step approach on how to do that, both personally and on the job. That's the second part. It's got three parts. The third part, how to manage your business for results. And that's where I explain what I was just speaking about, the management process and the questions. After the third question, why bother? How do you go about implementing such a system back on the job? I talk about that. See? And then the last part of the book has a special segment in it on how do you develop a strategic plan for your business. And that's a whole other issue, but I understand you had a session on that.
Yes, we did have a session on that, but it's really nice to get different perspectives, because your perspective on the strategic plan, mine and someone else, could be totally different. But educating yourself and gathering the information and figuring out what's best for you and your business is what's really essential. Now, I like what you touched on when you talked about retirement. That's one of my biggest concerns when it comes to founders of executive directors, founders of nonprofits. Because as you know, a nonprofit you don't own. A nonprofit, you can't not sell a nonprofit. You can't take stock options. It's not like a for-profit business. So it's really essential for that founder and our executive director to plan for retirement, because some nonprofits who are smaller shops, they don't have a retirement plan or a 401k or a 403b. How does one prepare for succession planning as well as retirement when it's time to hang up your hat?
Good question. I did a book some time ago. It's called Building Financial Security Through Pre-Retirement Planning for Nonprofits.
Okay, so please share with us, what does that mean, and how does one go about setting that up?
Well, it's a long story from my perspective. For about 10 years, I was the consultant to 50 Plus magazine in New York, which had to do with selling literature to help people plan for their retirement, all right? They had guidebooks. And I was a consultant, so I would go around to companies. And one day IBM came to us in New York. They said, could you put on a program for pre-retirement planning for our executives from the tri-state area? And we want to have it in New York. They gave some special criteria, but they also said, 50 Plus Magazine didn't have anybody to do it, so they said, could you do it, Pat? I said, yes,
of course.
So I ran the program for 5 years, took their employees from about 68 down to 48, executives mainly. But the point was, I would bring my own staff in. I had a medical doctor, a lawyer, financial planner, and I would do the leisure time planning. And we did this for a number of years, at least 5 years with IBM. I did it for many other corporations too while there. But the critical thing, to answer your question, is what the people said to me was, on my one-day pre-retirement planning seminar, why didn't somebody tell me this before? So, and here's what I was doing with the New York Stock Exchange on pre-retirement planning. Okay, and the same thing. People need the chance to do this. Hopefully their organizations could do it for them, help them to do it. And the book I had, I mean, it's dated now. It's probably not even on the market. But there are a lot of people out there who want to do financial planning. All they think about is the financial stuff. But I find critical now that I've been retired now for a while, is certainly health is going to be a key thing.
Long-term care.
You can have all the money you want if you're not healthy enough. Okay, so you want to pay attention to your health planning and health needs. And what are you going to do it all the time when you retire? See? Leisure time planning is very important. Keep active. They'll live longer. So a program for pre-retirement planning for nonprofits would be very helpful, I would think.
Okay.
And it could be, put on. And
what is when you say pre-retirement planning? Can you give me the specifics on what you would cover in that course, if you will?
again, you do the financial planning.
Okay, we have the financial planning. We have the
Whether the
leisure.
company has their own benefits and pensions.
What if they don't? Because a lot of nonprofits don't have that.
Yeah. For example, I have a nephew. He graduated college here in Florida. And he parks cars and makes a lot of cash money for a big restaurant.
Yeah.
He's got 3 beautiful little children, girls. He had no idea of putting any money away. He's in his mid-30s now, or pension. So his mother says, can you help Michael? I said, tell Michael with all the cash that he's making, go to the bank and tell them to start an IRA for him. And whenever he has some extra cash, throw it into that IRA. Eventually, over the years, it will build up. I mean, not all of us have pension plans for organizations that we work for. I mean, I was fortunate. One of the reasons I went back to university teaching was their retirement program. See, they contributed to my pension as much as I contributed. So as a full professor, I did pretty well when I retired from that back. So that took care of the financial planning part.
Yeah.
But I also did my own financial planning, Excuse me. Health is another thing. Today, that's crazy. I'm experiencing now in my, I guess my 4th career, maybe. And think about what you want to do. Keep learning, keep active. My career life planning process in the book, the first part, helps you to do that. Because one of the things, if you take a look there, I don't know if I have it on that one. No, the first part. Yeah.
Here, you know it better than I do.
We're looking. Well, these are the works. Looking toward retirement. No, I'm sorry. I have it in a brochure I did. These are the forms to do it.
Okay.
Let's see. Setting the objectives for retirement. So you determine your short-range retirement objectives right here. What are your goals? What preparation do you need to reach these goals? When you want to reach these goals, what obstacles must you overcome? That's retirement. This is for leisure time, personal goals. It's all there.
Okay.
The picture's not there though.
So guys, if you want the intricate details, retirement goals, managing for results, as you can see, it says business and life.
Yeah, and life.
You check this out on Amazon. I believe it's going for $9.99. Right?
$9.95.
$9.95. It's under $10.
It's under $10.
It's under $10.
But it's got everything there.
But it has everything there. And I know on previous episode when I talked to a particular guest about strategic planning, we talked about the importance of investing in a consultant and professional help for your nonprofit. Because oftentimes when I would talk to clients, they always say, well, how much is it going to cost? And I say, well, it's going to cost, but it's an investment of your future, right? So if you had a toothache, you would go to a dentist.
Right.
If you had problems with your eyes, you would go to an eye specialist. This is no different. You're not born learning how to run a business and our nonprofit. Even if you go to school, there's a difference between theory and then there's the practical and the real life. So hiring a consultant who's already run a nonprofit before, been through what you've been through, could really shorten the process of really learning how to run your nonprofit business. So look at it as an investment in yourself. And we all know about those impulse shopping sprees, whether it was a handbag or a pair of shoes. And we know today those have no values. But when you invest in yourself and your human capital, it could go on forever. So Dr. Pat, before we wrap up, is there a way for, if anyone wanted to reach out to you to ask you any follow-up questions at all? Is there a way to reach out to you, or would you prefer they reach out to me and then I would reach out to you? Whatever you feel comfortable with.
Well, I'll work together with you. Why don't they reach out to you and you reach out to me?
Okay, you hear that? So Dr. Pat, hey, if you want to reach out to me, you see my number here on the screen. You know my website, Grow Your Nonprofit. So I hope you are able to take something away from this. Today we talked about managing for results. And he didn't just say in your nonprofit, he also said your personal life. Because if you don't take care of your personal life, how could you do well in business? So it's a work-life balance, and they go hand in hand. And he also touched on the importance of managing your time, and if as a leader managing people, because it's a two-way street. Right? You can't be a leader if you don't have followers. So people have to know what is the end goal that you're all working towards together, and then measuring their success and keeping them on track. So that's a whole process. And if you don't have the wherewithal to do it on your own, it's okay to hire an outside consultant and to help you stay on track and stay focused to fulfill your goal. So this is Tamika. I'm signing off. Thank you for watching another Grow Your Nonprofit episode. Thank you, Pat, for joining us today. I know it won't be the last time. So please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you. And stay tuned for more Grow Your Nonprofit podcast episodes. Bye-bye.